How's it going, guys? It's the Pixelate Pumpkin, and in today's video, I'll be unboxing, showcasing, and reviewing Samantha's Supernatural Yard Decor from Lemax, Spooky Town 2023. Now, this is a fantastic little piece here, and I'm really excited to take a look at this, so let's pop it open and unbox it. Alright everyone, now that you got to see Samantha's Supernatural Yard Decor all lit up, and you got to see the building and everything like that, and all the details, it's time for me to review it. So to break down this review, I'll be talking about two categories: the overall look of the building and the lighting. So I'm going to start off with the overall look and all the details and stuff like that, because I do believe that a building should be able to stand on its own regardless of lighting, and obviously this one doesn't feature any animation or audio, so I'll just be talking about those two categories and that's it. So let's get started with the overall look. Now, of course, I think this one looks fantastic, and there is so much detail packed in from top to bottom. There are countless wooden cutouts, which I'm going to do my best to talk about each one individually, but to start off with my discussion of the overall look, let's talk about the building itself. Now, the one that makes this interesting is it's not an actual store, but it's a house, and it's more like Samantha is running this business out of her own home, which I find to be very interesting, and honestly adds some story to this piece that you really want to expect. Of course, it is typical if there's a business or something, it is in a store for a Lemax piece and not a house like this, so that just makes this piece even more unique and honestly makes me love it even more. The house itself looks great too, being very realistic and practical looking, and I like how you have that little interior view to where Samantha is actually making the wooden cutouts. That's all I really have to say about the building, so now let's talk about the bread and butter of this piece being all those wooden cutouts. So we'll start off at the top and work our way down. Of course, on the roof we have that witch and the ghost, which look fantastic, and there's so much detail packed in despite how small they are, and they definitely feel like they would be real Halloween decorations you would see back in the day, and that definitely goes for all the other wooden cutouts too. So if we work our way down, now we have the signs advertising that this is Samantha's Supernatural Yard Decor. There's two on the sides, and then there's one in the front. The one in the front's a little bit bigger and different, but they all relatively look the same, and I do like the little witch hat and broomstick as the logo on there. Pretty cool stuff. Now, if we move over a little bit, we have that cool looking haunted castle with that huge moon in the background, and the detailing on it looks fantastic despite how small it is. Again, it just looks really cool. Now, if we move down, we have a few more signs on the building, being creatures, critters, things that go bump in the night. That's all really cool too. And if we move down once more onto the lawn, we have a ton of wooden cutouts. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I have to say they all look fantastic and are super detailed. My favorite one definitely has to be the little Nosferatu on the front porch. That's something I would not expect to see Lemax referencing. And of course, the pumpkins as well. They invoke this really, really old school vibe and lots of nostalgia for sure. They just bring me back to, 90s Halloween stuff. Obviously, I wasn't alive back then, but all that stuff still makes me nostalgic for the holiday, since a lot of the decorations I had when I was very little were all from that time period, and all looks very similar to how they look on this piece. So the nostalgia hits heavy with this one, and that's probably why I like it so much. One more detail I want to talk about, of course, we cannot forget Samantha herself, who is working away in that little garage, making more of these awesome wooden cutouts. There's some outlines on pieces of wood, but I cannot tell what they are going to be, but that is still pretty cool that we have ones that aren't even made yet, and you could see her working in there, which is really cool, of course. Of course, I could talk way more about my thoughts on each little wooden cutout here, but that will take way too long. So overall, I'm just going to tell you, I think this is a fantastic piece, definitely heavy on the nostalgia for me. And again, I say this about almost every Lemax piece, the detailing is spot on and just absolutely fantastic for sure. But anyways, we talked about the detailing and how it looks. Let's talk about the lighting now. I think most people would agree with me when I say lighting on a Lemax piece is very, very important, and nearly as important as the design and detailing of the building. And fortunately for Samantha's Supernatural Yard Decor, the lighting here is actually really, really good. Now, I typically think lighting is pretty simple and done pretty well most of the time on Lemax buildings. It's not too hard to get wrong, and I really can't make an example of any other Lemax building that has bad lighting. And of course, Samantha's Supernatural Yard Decor does not have bad lighting in the slightest. It's actually some of the most creative and intuitive lighting I've seen in a while from a Lemax piece. For one, the colors are great here. Of course, you have that green light on the witch, which is very fitting for one, and also just makes it stick out even more. And of course, right next to it on the roof, you have the ghost with the white light on him there. The rest of the lighting on the piece is typically yellow, of course, lighting up everything on the yard. But inside Samantha's little shed, or I guess garage, where she's working, you have a purple light in there, which of course adds another interest point there and definitely draws your eyes there more than somewhere else. And something that even took me by surprise on this piece, the sign right above the front door, the haunted castle, that whole sign is actually lit. I did not expect that or know that when I got this piece, but I guess it makes sense considering it's kind of hard to put one of those little spotlights on it, so they just lit up the whole thing and it looks really cool. And even in the porch, there's a little light underneath to make sure you could see Nosferatu and the pumpkin on the door. So overall, I think this is some pretty great lighting. I know it's simple, I know it's not too hard to get wrong, but I just had to make mention of how good the lighting looks on this piece, and again, I think they really knocked it out of the park with this one. Alright everybody, so overall, I have to say, Samantha's Supernatural Yard Decor, with all the detailing, the lighting, and the emotion it invokes, is actually one of my favorite Lemax pieces to date. I typically enjoy the farm stuff the best, but this year I think Samantha's Supernatural Yard Decor is actually their best piece. Well, that's my feeling right now, but of course I have the Full Moon Diner as well, and honestly, I love both those pieces so much. The Full Moon Diner, again, if you haven't seen that video, I recommend you check it out, but the animation on that one is stellar and is hard to compete with. But the simplicity and nostalgia that Samantha's Supernatural Yard Decor brings out definitely makes it hard to decide which is better. But I really, really love Samantha's Supernatural Yard Decor, and definitely one of my favorite pieces in my collection now. But with that, everybody, I want to give a massive thank you to Lemax for sending me this building. It is fantastic once more. Be sure to like and subscribe. As always, this is the Big Sleigh Pumpkin, signing out.